It is funny.
But you know when Mike's like, Dan's just an idiot. Like that's what he really wants.
Well, he's like, you can be wrong. I'm just not going to agree with you.
I'm not saying that. They're saying that.
Now, from the Connors and Ferris podcast studio, this is the Buffalo Plus podcast.
All right, welcome back to the Buffalo Plus podcast. Mike Catalana, Dan Fates, I am Jenna Cottrell. Please be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and share. We are here in the Connors and Ferris podcast studio today. We're going to be discussing a couple of things. There was a great article that came out talking about which teams are in the best spot in this offseason. They're evaluating on draft capital as well as cap space. And then for us, we're also going to take a look at the Bills' back seven, linebackers, secondary, the players in 2025, what moves could be made in 2026. And we're going to have life advice as well. So also a reminder, be sure to send us in your questions. HeyBuffaloPlus@gmail.com. We'll be sure to answer them. Take a look on the pod. All right. So a lot to talk about today.
Hold on a second.
Wait. Elephant in the room.
You're wearing the glasses.
I'm wearing the glasses.
The glasses are back.
I felt ugly. So my hair, I'm having a bad hair day. All of that. And yes, I'm back.
So, by the way,
you're wearing glasses.
I felt great today, and I was having a great hair day, and I'm wearing my glasses today.
Love that. Dan, what about you?
Ugly, but and I just said no glasses.
I want to thank everyone for the nice comments. I was away, had a great time with family.
Yeah, the nice comments are, where's Jenna?
Yeah, the people really missed you.
I know, it was really cool. I love the people. It was nice to see. Had some nice time with family. So thank you to Mike and Dan for letting me have the time.
Also, it was cool to see like so many people that were like, oh, great, another like podcast. Like it had been 4 days. I guess it felt like longer. And also just like, I've also noticed just a little bit of things kind of calming down. Like after the Sean McDermott firing, after the Joe Brady hiring, Jim Leonhard, all that stuff, I feel like there is a little bit of a letdown.
Oh,
like
yeah, but
people
now it's going to get ramped right back.
Yeah.
I agree. I'm just saying over the last like 2 weeks when there was like people like, where's the next video? It's like, we're going to have a lot of time to talk wide receivers, trade possibilities, all this stuff, free agency, combine is all going to ramp up obviously by this point next week. So like there will be tons more fresh content coming up. It just kind of was a little bit of a lull.
Yeah,
in the
we're rapid fire when combine's here.
Yes.
Next week.
Yes.
There's going to be a lot of stuff.
That's also true too. All right. So we're going to talk about the Bills defense and some of the players and stuff a little bit later. We first wanted to start with really good article, NFL.com. It essentially is NFL salary cap and draft capital rankings article. So they ranked all 32 teams. And Michael, essentially the article looked at which teams are in the best shape this offseason and how much salary cap space they have, as well as like the draft capital they have to work with in 2026. And I was surprised because the Bills ranked dead last.
Yeah. So they basically just do a formula, like you're saying is. And so it's less opinion. It's more about the numbers. And in fairness to Brandon Beane this way, he's had a playoff team every year and they draft later. So you would say, okay, that knocks you down a bit because it's tougher. But they're 32nd. You know, like there are some really good teams that are considerably in better shape, at least to start the offseason.
That's a big point too.
Yeah.
Nobody is like in horrendous shape. I know the Bills are ranked 32nd. Like I get what you're saying, but there are so many moves that can be made, will be made, which we will get to, that will put the Bills in, before we know it, they'll have $35 million in cap space.
Yes, they're going to get themselves the room. I get it. But it is going to take moves that do eventually cost you down the road. And they are running out of players to do this with.
In terms of restructuring?
Yeah, because this franchise built themselves on some players that you could count on to do that. There's not as many of them right now between, you know, players who are aging out a little bit or players who have not produced to the point where you're guaranteed that they're going to be around for a few years. So yeah, Beane's got his work cut out for him to do that. And in terms of draft capital, it's like, you know, there are some really good teams who find themselves with extra draft picks because they're in a position of strength during the year and they're not giving away picks. And So I do think it's not a great sign. It's not like they come into this draft with, 5 extra draft picks or a bunch of compensatory picks. Like they're okay, but when you add it all up, 32 is not a place to be when you're changing the defense and you have some very big decisions to make on offense.
For added context, so in context, in terms of the top 10, the number 1 best spot is the Raiders. Then from there, it's the Jets, it's the Titans, the Steelers at number 4, which is interesting because obviously a playoff team. Number 5 is the Rams, another playoff team. Number 6 is Cardinals. 7 is Bengals. 8 is Browns. 9 is the Patriots. And 10th is the Ravens.
So the Rams are a good example. They picked up a number 1 pick. And who's from Atlanta.
For James Pierce.
Yep.
Because again, it is dumb teams do dumb stuff. Okay. Atlanta's one of those teams. I told you a few years ago, it was New Orleans without a quarterback, trading the 1 to the Eagles, ends up being Jalen Carter. Like smart GMs are sitting there waiting for those opportunities to grab a number 1 pick. And that's what ends up happening. And the Rams have been a really good team. They're going to get themselves a quarterback maybe in this draft. They'll find somebody that they like or make a move or trade again to get a number 1 pick for next year. To end up improving that.
I do think this is a good example of 2 things can be true. To go off of your point, Dan, that the Bills will be cap compliant by the start of the new year in March. That will be a thing. They can make moves. They can restructure contracts. They can even maybe possibly cut players, and we can get into all those moves. So they will be in a better spot than they are now. And also looking at this data, you realize that compared to other teams, they're not in as advantageous of a spot to start with.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to say that I think there's both sides of the coin in terms of this.
Yeah, there was something like you talked about how there aren't as many players to extend, and they've kind of they've kind of been led into this scenario by their decisions and players' age and all those things. With having to revamp the defense, I saw something that showed that the Bills are like second fewest percentage of defensive players returning next year. Like that right now, like I think they had 57%. I think it was Football Database had that. So like there is going to be turnover, like we've talked about, just naturally. And it's a matter of, that's where you talk about where it is up to Brandon Beane and Jim Leonhard and Joe Brady to find the right pieces to fill those spots. So you have the opportunity, as we've talked about, of turning the defense over kind of naturally by letting players leave, cutting some and things like that.
Yeah.
It's just then, are you finding guys that you can sit here next year and go, that was a good signing. Hey, that was a really good move. It's kind of like when the Bills signed Poyer and Hyde. You didn't really know what you were expecting. And then all of a sudden they turned into these great players that fit the scheme and the culture and all of those things. You kind of got to find some Poyers and Hyde again from back in 2016, 2017 to make this turnaround feel quicker, I guess.
Yeah, I would agree with you. And Jim Leonhard's going to be a key to that. And we're going to talk about the defense, but it's finding those players, which has been an issue for this team in the last few years, finding players offensively or defensively to step in and either help or be contributors. It ended up being, who did it end up being? All the guys they already knew.
Yeah.
In a form of Shaq Thompson, obviously played with Sean before, and bringing Trey White back and bringing Jordan Poyer back, Jordan Phillips.
So this was, it says it's percentage of 2025 defensive snaps still under contract for 2026 by the same team. And the Bills are second to last with just 57% of their players still under contract that took snaps last year defensively. The only team that has less are the Chicago Bears at 51%. So like Green Bay has 88% of the players that took snaps in 2025 under contract for 2026.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that doesn't necessarily
mean it's good or bad.
Like that's
Mike,
just the numerical data of it is that things will look different. Now, there's the potential for that to be an upside. There's also the potential for that to be a negative for this team too.
Correct. It's like Mike and I were talking about with the coaching staff and things like when the coaching staff is good, it's like, oh, it's consistency. But when it keeps going, it's stale.
It gets stale.
So
and a young coach always brings in fresh ideas.
Right.
Energy.
Yes.
Yeah. we had this discussion
Yeah, it's
yesterday.
a lot of narratives.
A lot of conjecture.
All right, so let's get to the defense then.
Okay, yeah. I think one last thing though is I do think it's like the Bills being in the spot, and again, doesn't mean that they can't figure it out and the moves that will be made to get them cap compliant, and there is still room for there to be new additions in free agency, and obviously the draft is coming up. But I guess it is kind of surprising because before I read where the Bills were at in the article, I was like, okay, I was expecting them, Dan, to be in the 20s, because they pick later on, because they have had some contracts that have been good. They've also had some contracts that they've struggled with. I was surprised though that they were dead last.
They're not a team though that has been able to move on from a guy. Here's a guy, and has been able to compile draft picks for like coming years. So they've never been that team that's been able to, at least recently, been able to trade a guy and be like, well, they got 2/3, they got 2 seconds. Like the Bills just have their picks.
Yeah.
They're not the Eagles. They're not the Rams that have been able to stockpile and make moves in the draft and be that team that has a ton of draft capital. They are just middle of the road in draft capital. And as of right now is where they stand. They don't have the most cap space. They're definitely in the bottom third of cap space right now. So that I understand where the formula is. It's not based on their roster, their winning percentage, the projections of all those things. This is just cap space formulated with draft capital. That's what it gets you.
Yeah.
Well, that's why I say a team like the Rams is so high.
That's why I guess
why it's jarring to see the Rams that high, because they're the best team to not get to the Super Bowl the last couple of years, right? I don't think there's any doubt. And they've been that good and they haven't gotten there. But you look at that and you go, okay, now they've gone through all different iterations of the way they've handled it. They started to say, forget the draft picks.
Yes, well, it's a kind way of saying
it. And then they decided when they wanted to draft, they drafted really well.
Yes.
I mean, Puka in the 5th round, Jared Verse, like they got some real dudes on that team. And Matthew Stafford's hanging in there, and they got him back for another year. So, that's when you are able to manipulate the system to your advantage and still continue to win and still pay a quarterback.
Okay, so let's talk about the Bills defense. Some of the guys, we'll start with the linebackers. So I think an interesting one, Matt Milano, 31 years old, is now a free agent. He has a dead cap of $11 million. Played in a lot of games this past year. This most games since 2022. 3.5 sacks, 67 tackles, 36 of those solo. Do you think that the Bills have had Matt Milano play his final season in Buffalo?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's so funny. Remember back when they signed Milano, and it was kind of a surprise that second time because
they got lucky during COVID.
They did. And he ends up signing. I think why do I remember us being on a Zoom with him and he was drinking a beer? Is that correct?
No, wasn't that Gabe Davis in Florida?
Dion, I thought, was also having a beer.
Okay.
Was it a Corona?
Yeah, I think it was. Why do I remember that? Anyhow, and he talked. I do remember he talked when he signed. I think it was like a Zoom.
I don't remember that.
So anyhow, that at the time was like, oh, they're going to pay both linebackers. Right?
Yes.
And it ends up being.
Well, no, I remember you saying they usually only pay one.
And it ends up being, because you're thinking, well, they love Edmonds.
Yeah.
And they end up 5th-year option. And by the way, he may be an available player, Jermaine Edmonds. He's only 19 years old.
He's still young.
It is wild. He's 27.
He's still young.
That's pretty crazy.
He is young. But listen, Milano, when he's healthy, has been a very good player. Between injuries and age, change in the defense, a lot of considerations. I think this is the time they would move on. I just do. Could we get surprised? Sure. They could come in and say, he fits what we're going to do. I just think it's tough to depend on him for another stretch of 17 games in a change of schemes.
I disagree.
Oh.
I think he fits what they would want in theory of a 3-4 outside linebacker that could cover. That's what Milano has shown. And I think that we've seen that the recovery from these injuries of Trey White taking 2 years to get back to what would be a starting caliber role. I thought Matt Milano showed flashes of what he can be. And I wonder if the price is fair and he wants to stay, and the familiarity with not the system, but the culture and the building and all of those kind of things. I think that if Matt Milano, a type of player like Matt Milano, was on the free agent market, you'd be going, oh, the Bills might kick the tire on that guy. I know the injury history is a massive concern. I think he showed enough of me to try and kick that can down the road a little bit longer.
I don't agree. I don't even know if he's a great fit for playing on the outside. I think there's a better chance of Greg Rousseau playing stand-up linebacker than there is Matt Milano being linebacker for this defense. I think the position changes.
I think you need somebody that can cover, and Milano can cover.
I think it all depends on the price. I also think it's what Milano wants.
But I disagree with that. I don't think he's got a say in this until the end.
I'm saying if Milano wants to start and wants to be that guy somewhere, I don't know if that is in Buffalo. So if he wants to have that role, then his role would not be in Buffalo.
Yeah, I think he's not going to have a lot of suitors, and I think it's a 1-year deal wherever he's going at this stage of his career.
That's fair, but that's what it's like for a lot of linebackers.
I know,
1 to 2 year deals around, and
I think they're going to make a lot of changes. I just feel like this is a time to break some of those.
That's fair. Those ties, because you can say, I do understand your point though of his ability to cover, and he has shown the physicality and him playing better in this last season after battling back from injuries. I'd be curious what the price would be. And that also goes to show how confident are you in other players.
I think that's going to be a Terrell Bernard spot. I think that's where he's playing. They're paying him. He's going to be there. He's certainly going to get the opportunity in the beginning to play there.
This was a really hard season for Terrell Bernard.
No doubt.
Battled injuries, 26 years old, signed that big contract extension last year. Significant injuries, calf, elbow, pec, ankle. He still played in 12 games, which is pretty crazy to think about.
Yeah, he's the one that again, we don't know anything about what Jim Leonhard's real scheme and system is going to be. He just seems incredibly undersized, in my opinion, to be in this linebacker where you think of like two bigger guys and then the outside guys. Again, we've talked about it before. It's maybe 25% of the snaps, what their base scheme is going to be, 3-4 and things like that. I have a hard time believing that Bernard fits in. I think Milano fits better. And again, it's different because you have one that's under contract and younger, and then you have the older guy that I think fits better. So I don't know how you fit both of those into your offseason plans. I personally think this may be Bernard's last year in Buffalo.
Oh, that could definitely be the case.
The case.
He
did play at Baylor in a 3-4.
Yeah.
So there is that.
He was thought of as being more of that type of player.
We all thought when he was signed, he was Milano, and then somebody was really smart, said that he would be, replacing Tremaine Edmonds,
that
was
that was a Nostradamus. Like, that was pretty good.
It's the one.
That's wild. Still one of my.
Is that your 1-1?
It's up there with like the Schefter quote tweet, like the moments that you have that you're like, that was a good one. I've had a couple of those. Not a lot. Not a lot. But
okay, that's
I feel like I have to see what this scheme is going to be. But my mind says that Milano can fit more into it than Bernard can.
Yeah,
the problem is that Bernard is being paid.
Mike's doing we'll see.
Well,
we'll
see.
That's
only
so
because
condescending.
It's so dismissive.
It's so condescending.
So dismissive.
Yeah. Well, one's a free agent. Yeah. One is a free agent, so you got to sign him. Yeah. I just don't. I don't think it's happening. So better chance. Tremaine Edmonds comes back.
Bring him home.
Bring him home.
He's still young.
Hey.
It is funny.
But you know when Mike's like, Dan's just an idiot. Like that's what he really wants.
Well, he's like, you can be wrong. I'm just not going to agree with you.
I'm not saying that. They're saying that.
Like, it's just very funny when Mike's like, if it was anybody else, like if this happened on another podcast, Mike would be like, did you hear what this idiot said? But because it's on our channel, Mike's just like,
I'm not saying he's an idiot. I like the way Milano's played. I just think it's a time it's always like, he's coming back and he's looking this way and that way. It's been a lot of years. He's a popular guy within the team. I know the staff, the people that have helped him get back, talk about his work ethic, all of that.
Mm-hmm.
I just think it's time to move on.
What about a friendly wager?
It's unfair to say this is just strictly as Milano because Bernard's going to be
correct.
Well, that's what I meant.
Um,
if Milano is on what point? Opening day roster?
No, he's got it. They have to sign him.
Yeah, they have to sign him.
It's either sign him or they don't.
Right.
And it can't just stay out there, like I like to say, is a big old matzo ball hanging out there.
Yeah.
Because he could be a signing August 31st.
And this goes back to kind of like our James Cook discussion when it was like what I want them to do and what I think they're going to do may be two totally different things. Because I do agree with Mike of saying he's a free agent. We can just move on.
Right.
Like there doesn't have to be a decision of like cutting or extending him. It can just be letting him walk and wanting to see something different.
So
what do you want to make the bet? Did they sign him by the beginning of free agency? Keep him?
That's like 2 weeks away.
Well, I mean, that would be the case. Or they let him. Let's give it to
just do the June 1 if it's before.
Let's say I'll give you this. I'll give you to the start of training camp.
Wow.
Okay.
Take that
because
all day.
I think it's fair to say start of training camp.
Mm-hmm.
Because if he could also be the kind of guy that just waits it out, say I'll wait to see what's out there, and eventually comes back after they've made other moves, which, that's a very different way to look at Milano. That's saying late, like, ooh, we like this kid, but we think somebody else.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll give you till the start of training camp.
Okay.
What do you want a 6-pack?
Yeah, why don't we do a 6-pack?
6-pack. Beer of choice.
Beer of choice.
One.
Okay.
All right.
Jenny Light. Bud Light. White Claw.
Pizza Hut.
No, Picasso's. All right. Shaq Thompson. Undrafted. He's now a free agent, 31 years old, will be 32 in April. Had a heck of a season here with the Bills this last year. Played great, 1-year prove-it deal. In 2023, he had a broken leg, which was a season-ending injury. 21, he tore his ACL. So coming off the injuries, like I said, prove-it deal. Do you expect him to be back with the Bills? He has made it public that he wants to get paid, which is understandable at this point. But what do you think?
I think somebody's going to want Shaq.
100%.
I think he showed enough of that.
He played well.
Yeah, and he's got a few years left in him. I think he did. And he made the point that both times he got hurt, I think it involved like getting hit by a teammate. Like
friendly fire.
Yeah.
He is also like, I love the way he talks. I love the way he plays. I love his confidence. I'd love to see him back. But I think to that point, I think he also I think he believes somebody's out there.
Yeah.
And is going to pay him. So they may be in that spot where they're like, I mean, it's the beginning of free agency. We don't know what's out there.
Yeah.
And they may be thinking about very young players. Like they could be drafting a guy that comes in to start. So that'll be interesting. But I like him a lot. I liked what he did. I would say the chances are pretty good that he sees free agency only because he has confidence. And even though his agent can't talk to other teams, right, Dan?
That is true.
Yes. That would be
tampering. That would be the illegal part of tampering.
But
not to be confused with the legal tampering.
The oxymoron
that is what the combine's for. That is what.
Yeah. Love Shaq Thompson. I think he deserves a ton of credit for keeping the Bills defense together and for playing as well as they did. Brought a physicality, brought a toughness. Somebody will want that at a premium more than I think the Bills are.
And not a long-term thing at his age. That's like a 3-year deal with a big money up front.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Bigger money.
I think he's earned 30? 30. He'll be 32.
And he's been in the league for like 13
11 years.
Yeah, it's insane.
Yeah, which is pretty wild.
Yeah.
Dorian Williams, 24, under contract through 2026. He'll have a boosted salary in this 4th year. Had that neck injury versus Denver. Is he expected to have a bigger role this season now with things kind of in flux in that room?
I would think he does have the physical ability.
Violent.
I mean, when you look at him and you watch him, you're like, he's one of the best athletes on the whole team.
100%.
And I cannot imagine maybe that if I'm Jim Leonhard, I don't see something there.
Agreed.
And what is he in his
fourth year?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So this is it.
Yep.
So you give it a shot.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the kind of player I think that they're looking for physically.
Yeah, 100%. I love the way that he's up there with, Crash Test Dummy. Like,
plays with his hair on fire.
Plays with his hair on fire is the perfect one. No gloves. Flies around. Yeah, I think I can see Jim Leonhard using him to be an attacking, aggressive style. Like when that's what he talks about, I just think of Dorian Williams kind of being that. His strengths are not in coverage, but all that I think he provides and fills a lot of boxes between special teams, between all this other stuff that he's been able to do. He's played a bunch of, blitzing, the outside linebacker spot. Like, I think he's done a really good job at filling in with all of the injuries that have been going on around him. He's been kind of the steadying piece, and I've liked it.
It's funny. I think of him in the same way I think about Tremaine Edmonds. And I remember asking this question to Leslie Frazier. And when I asked it, Leslie said,
that's a great question.
That's a great question.
Super Bowl champion, Leslie Frazier.
Yep.
I want to
love Leslie.
Right?
Sweet man.
And I asked about Tremaine Edmonds, like blitzing, going after the quarterback. And he referenced it all. I always felt like guys like that, I'd rather see him going forward than going backwards.
Mm-hmm.
I think guys with less instincts, I want to just say to him, go get that guy.
Yep.
And I think Dorian Williams can be that type of player.
Agreed.
They did try to use him a little bit, I think, in that Hoyt role. They tried a lot of people in that Hoyt role. They'll have Hoyt in that Hoyt role. But I just think physically,
Hoyt does fill that Hoyt role really well.
He does. But I'm saying is, well, he's coming off an Achilles, though. That's the only thing. But they tried that. But I think you're switching schemes. Dorian is just a great athlete. Let's see if he can fit that.
I agree. Dorian kind of feels like a blank canvas of like, what do you want him to be as you're retooling this defense? And I think he can be physically gifted enough to do a lot of those things.
And Jenny's cheap. I mean, he's cheap. He's in the last year of a deal, so he's cheap.
Yeah, 3rd round pick in 2023.
Tulane?
No, I don't think. Oh, it was Tulane.
Ooh,
wow.
Don't let him get hot. Okay. Joe Andreessen. Where did he go to school?
Yeah.
We've lost our monitor graphic there for a second. There's our beautiful computers.
Wow, what'd you do there, Daniel? He got one right, and look at that. The whole thing blew up.
That's wild. I'm going to just keep talking.
Yeah. Joe Andreessen's, I know a lot of people are thinking, oh, this change is going to impact him, and he's going to. I hope for his sake that it's a good thing. Maybe they do feel that way, and Jim Leonhard's going to get a wide open look at it. He's going to play special teams no matter what. That's what he does. They didn't seem a lot in that role. So
yeah,
we'll see.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. I don't know if they would look at him. It does happen sometimes that the new set of eyes comes in and they go, this part of his skill set, but I think
there is upside for him for sure, but I don't know how it will all.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Secondary. Let's talk Taron Johnson. He'll be 30 under contract, UFA in 2028. So a couple years remaining. A dead cap hit of $9.5 million. It was a down year for Taron, I would say.
It's fascinating because Taron was a dictator, if you follow me, for the defense. It was like, we're going to be in nickel all the time.
I was wondering where you were going with that, but it makes sense.
Well, this dude is that good at the position.
Land that plane.
Right? he's that good. It's him texting me right now.
Yeah.
So in that case, it's like, we're going to play that. Well, their base defense, at least off the start, now becomes different in a 3-4. I think the use of the nickel corner is a little different in terms of what they want. And I think Terrence, people have brought up the idea of him playing safety. I don't know. I don't know if he makes that adjustment. He's a physical player. He's gotten hurt a lot.
Yeah.
I do think Jim Leonhard spoke very highly of him in his first news conference. All right, Dan, go ahead.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hand up. Gotta put the hand up.
Yeah. Take the one shot.
There were a couple of podcasts or two ago. We talked about Jim Leonhard's press conference, and I said Jim Leonhard had glowing reviews for Cam Lewis.
And Jenna and I were both like, "Oh, I didn't remember that," but
yeah, it was like I was in the back of the room, so I couldn't really hear.
Yeah, so I'm listening to it at home. Hand up. He was saying all of those nice things. If you want to go back and listen to what I was saying about what Jim Leonhard was saying about Cam Lewis,
it was about Taron Johnson.
It was about Taron Johnson, which makes way more sense.
Yes. Though
way more sense.
Well, we could talk about Cam. I like a lot of the stuff Cam gives any roster because he can be in different positions.
He can.
Yes, he can. But I would say this: he didn't need to go that deep on Taron Johnson in his first news conference, right?
I did think
he could have just said, "Good player, good football player."
Did think that was an interesting point of effusive praise for him, and a guy that has been talked about.
You might get this one.
No.
P H. It's not like
it's F, and there's 2 F's.
I could actually, in Dan's brain, I get how he thought that was a P.
EFFUSIVE. Effusive. Or EPA.
EPH. I thought we were going to go effusive, like the
like phone, like PH,
yes.
like for the F sound.
Yes.
Okay.
Right.
But yeah, he
really
went hard
was.
in the paint talking about Taron Johnson. And in a way he didn't have to, in a way that would have been fine for him to compliment him and then move on. So I get it.
Yeah, I think if you're Jim Leonhard, here's a guy that you can see as knowing a secondary background, knowing being undersized in the 100%. NFL, can look at Taron and maybe go, hey, we may not run a lot of nickel with a slot corner, and this is what we want to do. I think you could be really impactful in a safety position, and let me coach you through that. I don't know, but I do think that he sees Taron Johnson as the instinctual athlete, the vital piece, and all that he provides, because at times Taron has been one of their best run stoppers because of where they've been. And that's also a knock at what the defensive line and linebackers have been at times, but Taron has been really good. That has dropped off a little bit. So it's trying to balance where all that fits.
But they also have referenced positionless football, right?
Yeah.
And so having guys that doesn't mean a guy can't play in the slot on one down and be in safety at another. Yep. I mean, teams do multiple things. And if he has a skill set, he also has a contract that may work better to stay on the roster.
I think that's also a piece of
it plays into it, at least to see what you got.
Yeah.
And
dead cap hit of 9.5 million.
And then you also
do you know what his base salary is? What would you save? Because you'd save something, right?
Well, and we always say that. Yes. A lot of times you I don't know if you have it, but you
looking it up.
Move on from a player and you save X dollars. You also have to replace that guy on the roster.
Correct.
Do they believe Jordan Hancock could do that? He didn't have the faith in the defensive staff last year at that secondary position.
His base in 26 is 8.1 million. His cap hit is 11 million this season, and the dead cap would be 9.5 million.
So you're not really saving much.
No, but they may do one of those deals where they tighten that contract up.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, and put it on this year. I'm saying is Jim Leonhard may look differently at who he's got. Jordan Hancock may become a player that he really likes in the secondary because they didn't trust him out there at safety.
They did not.
So
he didn't give them a ton of
reason to, but it's a different system this year.
Okay. We could just note Christian Benford under contract, will be 26 years old this season. Max Hairston
needs to be a starter this year, I think. Not that he's saying it's guaranteed. They need him to be a starter.
Financially.
Absolutely. Hurt his knee twice, 11 games, 2 interceptions, 348 snaps.
How did Max play?
I think
that's a long pause.
Yeah, I think there were moments where you saw the ability, his speed.
Did you ever think, watching the games, God, I wish Max was in there instead of Trey?
Nope.
No.
And here's what I'll also say.
And it is his rookie year.
Yes.
And he's had 2 injuries.
The way that I thought of Max says a lot, unfortunately, about him playing in the fourth quarter in week 18 and getting hurt.
Yeah.
That's unfortunate. But he may also just be injury prone. Like this is also a problem. So maybe whether that's the coaching decision, whether that's not having Jamarcus Ingram and other guys out there, like they were in that spot to have him play in week 18 in the final fourth quarter.
I still think it was a bad decision to have him out there anyhow, and it ended up costing them in the playoffs.
Correct. All those things. I'm just saying, I don't think that Max earned the right to be the guy that's like, well, I'm not playing in the fourth quarter. I'm Max Hairston. Like we talked about it going into week 18. Guys were going to have to play. You don't have unlimited rosters, and you weren't thinking of Max is unlosable. Like you can't.
Too valuable that
So that's when you said, like, what did you think of Max's season? I didn't sit there and go, I can't believe he's out there in week 18 in the fourth quarter. You got to get him off the field because he's so important.
Yes.
You see what I'm saying?
I agree. I thought with the injury in camp, I was immediately concerned because you miss so many on-field reps, and that can be a huge setback for a lot of players.
Yeah. And credit to Trey White, because not only did he come in and stabilize it, he ended up playing well. It's a shame Trey's year ended with, the penalty call and him throwing the helmet down. Obviously, there was a lot of frustration in that game.
Yeah.
But, man, they got a lot of football out of Trey White this past year.
Yeah.
And he did enough to not, in many other circumstances, Max would have been back starting.
Do you think
if Trey wasn't playing at the level he was playing?
Correct.
Yeah.
Do you think that Max can take a step this year? Do you envision him? Okay.
Well, I think he should.
I'm not saying you think he should. I'm saying, do you think he can?
Yes, because I think that injury, it's funny you mentioned about injury prone. He had one injury where he got hurt in a game, and the other injury he got hurt at Fisher just doing a simple little
He was
drill.
also got concussed in Houston.
He did. Yes.
So and that was my concern about the body frame. coming out of college. So, and he was injured in college.
Yeah.
So that was a shoulder. So that's where I go when I look at, should he get better? Well, we all agree that you would hope that a guy gets better in his second year. That's a first round draft pick. I just don't know where the level of comfort that you will have in what that guy could be. Cause like what you're saying about Trey played good enough that Max wasn't able to jump him.
Yes.
So that also says something to me a little bit about Max.
I agree.
That you weren't able to beat out Trey White on his third team in 3 years. So that, and again, I understand the injuries. That is a reason. I'm not making that an excuse, but you do have to expect and hope that solidifies the corner 2 spot, which is why you drafted him in the first round.
Then it becomes, what about Trey White?
Mm-hmm.
Because they could just let Trey walk.
Mm-hmm.
Right? If you look at it contract-wise, I don't think there's anything on this deal.
Yeah. No dead cap hit.
Right, it was a
no
clear
void
one-year
years.
deal. You wonder what Jim Leonhard thinks, right? I mean, we'll find out pretty quickly because there's going to need to be veteran corners they're bringing in. And so is Trey somebody they would like in that spot? Because he played well last year tells you that Trey can still play in the league. It doesn't necessarily mean he's going to play for this team this year.
It also doesn't mean that he's going to play well next year. Like, that's what the NFL is. It is not for long. You get paid in the NFL, not on what you have done, what you're expected, and what you're going to do.
You just rolled through about 3 of my favorite sayings there. Very proud of you.
Thank you.
I think those are your sayings.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They are.
You should have credited.
No, it's fine. It's all Buffalo Plus now.
Okay.
It all fits.
TM.
Yes.
I do think Trey wants to be a starter, though.
Yeah.
And I think he has earned that. And I think that's where things could get interesting if he wants to stay in Buffalo, because what will that look like?
When I think of a player like Trey, he came back to Buffalo. He played well.
Mm-hmm.
It was sort of full circle for him. If he doesn't play in Buffalo, I'd like to see him play for the Saints.
Okay, Louisiana kid,
Yep,
going
like
back
that.
home.
Kind of an up-and-coming team. I think they got a little bit
Add some
going
I
on.
like
culture.
that idea.
I do too.
If he's not back in Buffalo. And
It's
for all we know, Jim Leonhard's watching that tape going, this will work. Or he's going, good player, doesn't fit what I want to do. If Max isn't ready.
Yeah.
I don't know what he thinks about Max either.
I would be very curious. Well,
We'll find
watch
out.
what they don't
Yep.
watch. Don't listen to what they say. Watch what they do.
Yep.
We are in peak of that season.
Follow the money.
Taylor Rapp, 28 years
Gone.
old, under contract,
Yep.
knee injury. Yeah.
Gone.
Dead
I
cap
would
hit
think.
of 666,000. So
yeah,
that's
I
feels-
would think
Yeah.
Yeah.
that it'll be
I
different.
found it interesting he wasn't around the team after the injury.
I think this was a term I feel like that got brought up more this past year than anything, of the soft benching. That was kind of what was going on around the NFL, of what was this quarterback or this position player soft benched. I feel like I thought it was very interesting how he was injured week 8 or 9 and was then all of a sudden it was so bad he had surgery, and Sean made a point to bring up that he was actually been injured since training camp, that, and kind of giving that your player standing up for your guy of, you're not playing well. We all see that Taylor Rapp was not playing well, and Sean came out unprompted and said, oh, he's been injured since training camp. You guys just didn't know that. And then he goes and gets the surgery so that he can be fully healthy for free agency and for the next team, because it was a clear cut moving on from Taylor Rapp.
Mm-hmm.
But I just wonder if it was, hey, we're making a move, Taylor. You're not going to be the starter anymore. We'll say you're injured and you can go
Jenna,
on.
We made the point too, and I do think with the change in defense and the change in scheme, there are players that are on this roster this year because of their contracts.
Yeah.
So it just takes away some of that decision.
Mhm.
Doesn't mean it guarantees them playing time. Doesn't mean they couldn't be moved on at some point. Like you mentioned a guy like Terrell Bernard. This may be great for him. It may be terrible for him. But with that contract he just signed, I don't think he's going anywhere this year. So with a guy like Rapp, deal's done. I think unless they love him, and for some reason he's like, this is my kind of guy, I think they move on.
Yeah.
I just think the dead cap is so low. The cap hit is $3 million. Like it feels like.
Yeah.
I would think there's a better chance Jordan Poyer's back than Taylor Rapp.
Well, Jordan Poyer, free agent this year. We saw what he did when he came back, and you were kind of critical of the move. And I mean, Jordan Poyer played his ass off, and I think you also saw how much that steadying helped Cole Bishop and what he was able to do. So you're right. I could see.
Well, he's also a Sean McDermott, Sean's defense guy.
Yep.
And yes, that is
and
also
I don't know
correct.
what Jordan Poyer wants to do anymore, too. Again, he's
Neither
a guy
do
who
I,
proved he could still play,
Mhm.
came back. That might have been enough for him.
Yeah.
I mean, we'll find out.
Mhm.
But I don't think he was happy with Sean being fired, but he has a lot of loyalty to Sean McDermott.
Yeah,
should.
he publicly said that, which, I don't know, maybe Bean is like, that means it's, we're going to go in a different direction because we want it's, but I do think he proved that was something left in the tank.
All right.
Dan, Cam Lewis.
Yeah, Jim Leonhard. Yeah, Cam Lewis
Sorry.
just has been the jack of all trades and has been able to fill so many different roles for this Sean McDermott defense and Bobby Babbitt defense for so long. It's up to what Jim Leonhard views as this guy.
I just think guys like that, doesn't mean it's going to be Cam again, but you need players like that on your team that can play multiple positions. That's where the versatility says he's on the roster because he's versatile.
Yep.
He plays a ton of special teams. He has played safeties, played these things, and doesn't make a lot of money. So it's like, okay. Doesn't mean they won't replace him with another similar type player, But don't get all worked up if Cam Lewis signs. I always love this. It'll be like Bills have signed Cam Lewis to a 1-year deal. And the first comments on Twitter are, oh, that'll fix everything. I'm like, you need those type of dudes.
Yep.
Doesn't have to be him. But sometimes a player like that is like a Ty Johnson has been, right? A guy who can do multiple things for you and is good in certain circumstances. Doesn't mean you want him as your number one running back, but he can play on the team.
He has been a guy that has, and I mean this in a complimentary way, of he sets your floor.
Yeah.
Like, this is a depth piece. You're not going to rile up the fan base. We're not going to be like, yes, Cam Lewis is back, but he's going to be a guy that when push comes to shove, that was when they signed Trey White. It was like, you have set the floor for what your corners can be. Trey outperformed what a lot of expectations were. And when in a pinch, Cam Lewis has been serviceable.
Yeah. And he left for one play, Darnell Savage touchdown.
Well, Darnell Savage.
Yeah.
I was going to say some other names. Let me know if any of them stick out. Darnell Savage, DeMar Hamlin, Jordan Hancock, Dorian Strong.
I just want to, he's, given the thumbs up. Hopefully the surgery went well. If it makes sense for him to play football, I'd like to see him back there. I liked a lot about initially what we saw. So that one, I think DeMar Hamlin moves on. I think it's time. Probably that's the case. But again, we'll see,
Could see him back in Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
Pittsburgh makes sense.
Yep.
Okay. All right. We go to life advice.
Yeah. Why not?
Okay.
Comment in with obviously what we were talking about with these players and things like that. Obviously, we will have plenty of time, like we were talking about, of free agents, players that you are looking for. And I think Mike and I were talking, or we were all on the one podcast saying that players that are going to come in, like the Jordan Poyers, like the Shaq Thompsons, where they all had that Carolina tie. There will be ties to Wisconsin. There will be ties to Denver. There will be ties to all of that will come through. So it'd be something to watch. But all of that stuff will really kind of ramp up next week as we're talking about Combine. We'll get to talk to Brandon Beane. We'll get to talk to Joe Brady.
And then we'll be out.
Do you know the Combine is next week?
Yeah,
I do.
Okay. All right. I wanted to make sure. You made a comment in the last podcast. I was like, he knows he's going to Indy next week, right?
Yeah. Oh, he's ready.
Yeah. Okay.
He's
all
ready.
Right. So life advice reminder to send in your questions. heybuffaloplus@gmail.com. I had to white knuckle my way through that. I kind of forgot for a second.
We got some nice comments about cars because we had the one life advice about driving. I wanted to say there are people talking about what they took their driver's test on or their first car. I took my driver's test in a Ford pickup from the dairy that had farmer's tags on it. I was able to get my farmer's license at the age of 16. So we couldn't get your license. We didn't have a farm, but we had the tag. And a guy that worked for my dad at the dairy, we didn't have a farm, but we had the truck, drives me there. All my buddies are rooting for me because I'm going to be the first one to have a license. They're very excited about that. He takes me to take my test at the Armory in Vineland, New Jersey, if you know it well. And they tell us the back tires are too bald. You can't take the test. So now he's got to drop me off at school. Everybody I went to school with knew I was taking the driver's test. And I had to tell them.
Didn't even take it.
They didn't believe me. They thought I failed.
He failed.
They thought I failed.
I could see why.
I'm a very good driver. But eventually we got the right tires on there and I got the license. But that was in an old Ford F-250
what was it?
pickup.
The farm tag or what?
It was the Model A.
Wasn't far off. Yeah, it was an old Ford 150, I think it was. And but you had to have the tag and then you could get the license.
Okay.
Gotcha.
And you were supposed to be on farm business. And farm business included going out with two of my knucklehead buddies.
Going to the bar.
Running around. Yeah, I know.
All right. I looked through some of the comments. There were some good ones. Ralph said, love watching you guys from Conway, South Carolina. First car was a 1964 VW Beetle.
Oh, the bug.
I was going to say, I do think that's pretty cool. Adam saying, my first car was a 1988 Jeep Cherokee. The trunk didn't lock. You could start the car and take the keys out while the car was running.
So good.
That's sick.
Yeah. Living in Buffalo, lost both the front and rear bumper, but the 4-wheel drive was a beast.
That's awesome.
It's like This is a good one too. Christy said, my first car was a hand-me-down from my sister, who got it as a hand-me-down from our grandmother. Passenger seat floorboard was partially rotted out and the carpet grew mushrooms when wet.
So that floorboard out, like it was like a Flintstone car.
Yeah.
Like I remember us having one of the cars and it was like you just pull that mat away and you could just see the ground as you drive, which is kind of wild.
I like this one too from Liz. 1979 Toyota Corolla with my brother, then sister. When the casing on the driver's seat belt on the locking mechanism broke off and fell off, we taped it back with duct tape.
Duct tape.
When the passenger door jammed open, we used a bungee cord to hold it shut. Pretty sure those were poor decisions. I'm grateful nothing ever happened to us.
My mom had a Toyota Corolla. That was like one of her first cars. It was one of those ones that like when you turned the car on, like the seatbelt came up.
Oh, the
like automatic ones.
Yes.
You remember that? And it was also the crank.
Oh, the crank
for the window.
Yes.
Yeah.
Also, this is the last one I thought was funny. EBC said, time to change all the passwords with security questions that ask about your first car.
That's good.
I did think that was pretty good. Okay, so in terms of questions, we have one from Chris.
Okay.
And he said, he sent a picture in as well.
We'll have to put the picture up.
Yeah. Hey, Dan, Mike, Jenna, the man, the myth, the legend, Mike. Excuse me.
That.
I'm a carpenter. I had to move back to New York upstate after 23 years in warm Atlanta. I'm stuck back home. I figured I would build a Bill's bar in my backyard. I might have went a tad overboard. I have a full bar, big TV, sound system, deco galore. I'm 15K in and I'm building it myself. But a ton of friends and family can't wait for it to be done this summer to gather for games here. Life advice. Did I go too far? Love you guys, Chris.
First of all, I would say I am.
That's the bar.
Holy cow.
Yeah. He's put 15 into it, doing it himself.
Honestly, it looks amazing.
Yeah. So we'll put
it looks like a pavilion that you would have like a birthday party or a barbecue at.
I would tell you this. First of all, get some help from some of those people who are going to be using this with you, which I'm sure you are.
Yeah.
Secondly, you have not gone far enough yet because that is going to be the place. You're going to love it.
My one thing is that most of the games are not during the summer. You got to get like some heating stuff.
Yeah. He's thought of that.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's nice in November, December in upstate New York, in Western New York.
Yeah.
No, you haven't gone far enough. Maybe, you know what? A couple of those, like
the heated panels.
The heated panels in the top.
Yeah.
So nice.
They're expensive.
That would be nice.
Have everybody chip in for a little bit of that. Give them you put the 15
Charge a
grand
cover
and the sweat equity in there. I just am so jealous of people who can build stuff.
The question is, did he go too far? The answer is yes. Like let's just be honest.
No, not far enough.
But in a great way. Like that is awesome. And my brother-in-law can build things. He's done woodworking and he built our first kitchen table. He's built our daughter's bed, like all this stuff. You're right, Mike. You're so jealous. And you just think about like, if I could, I would do that.
Yeah.
Like that's where it's at. So it's not a little, I guess I was thinking like 3 stools.
No, it's really nice.
That's really nice.
Yeah.
So, but people are going to want to be there. It's going to be that place. I could say a little, if you need a little help, even a little financial help sometimes. If people are going to be over there like every Bills game watching, chip in a little bit.
It looks really nice.
Yeah.
Like that is impressive to be able to build that yourself.
That's amazing.
And the outdoor TV.
That is cool.
It's clutch.
Yeah. Honestly, so many sporting events though you can watch, like summer, baseball.
What? A little better than your patio.
It is. It's nice. We're getting the pergola though this year.
That's true.
I do. Pergola is classy.
We got to see who's getting invited to the patio.
That is very true.
They got to earn their way to Buffalo Plus patio.
Correct.
That is fair. And then you had one too, right?
So a buddy of mine, I got to look it up here. So we had talked about this before. So he sent me this text. So this is a little life advice about a circumstance that happened to him, the way he reacted. So he's telling me this was about 2 seasons ago in the NFL. He had a couple of buddies come over. I think I know who came over. I think it's part of the basketball group, but I'm not 100% sure. Didn't give names. Came over to the house to watch. They're sitting there. They're hanging out. The one guy he's better friends with. The other guy's there. The second guy shows up, and he had his job in the morning. He's a delivery guy. So he's got his uniform that he's in, whatever. Comes over. They're hanging out. And the guy says to him as they're watching, hey,
chuckling to himself at his story.
Well, it's funny. He says, hey, can I borrow a pair of sweatpants? I've been in this uniform since this morning. So the guy, Bill, who's sending this message says, I look at my other friend who smirks and then leaves the room. And then he's sitting there going, what do I say? I'm giving this guy sweatpants to wear. So he says, yes. He says to me, I have never worn or loaned clothes to a friend of mine. I think it's kind of weird. I gave them to him. He said he would wash them, get them back to me. I don't want them back now. Am I weird, or is this weird about guys borrowing each other's clothes? What do you guys think?
I'm not gonna, as a woman.
Well, that's what he also said.
I get it. Like
he said, my wife said, not weird at all. I share clothes with my friends.
I don't think it's weird to share clothes with your friends, but I know it's never really been that's not something that's.
You think it's really weird?
I just don't think the last time I shared clothes with anybody was my brother, and we were like 12. Okay. When I don't mean like, could somebody maybe like a jacket, something? I'm not, nobody's wearing my sneakers. Nobody's wearing my, sweatpants. I'm
basketball shorts.
No. Is
what
that?
do you think? I'm curious your thoughts.
One, you've never been in that spot where you've never been in the spot where you've been spilled something on yourself at a friend's house. Are these guys like good friends?
Friends. The second guy, friends, not like all the time buddies.
Okay, so like that's where I can.
Do you think it's drawing the line because you don't know the guy as well?
Yes, that's the line I'm thinking.
So I'm not talking about you're there with the kids and somebody pours something on you or the kid throws up on you. That's a different story. That's more emergency circumstances.
Now, if I'm that guy, you knew you were going over to the buddy's house, you should have thrown a second change.
All that is true.
Okay,
putting the blame on the other guy.
But
Casually says,
but to me,
can I have a pair of
goes to the
sweatpants?
level of a friend. Like that's where it goes for me.
Okay,
because
so let's go through the clothes.
Okay,
sweatshirt,
100%.
Sweatpants,
100%.
Gym shorts,
yeah, shoes,
bathing suit.
No, because you could just give them a pair of gym shorts. You don't need the swimsuit.
Yeah,
swim trunks. Like that's not it.
Women,
I was
gonna
say,
shoes,
shoes, bottoms, top. I mean, not like your undergarments, but like even bathing suit. Sure, go for it.
Yeah, I know I have shared pretty much every piece of clothing.
But when was the last time you did that?
That's a good question.
Like college, totally.
But I'll even say this. I have had my father-in-law the one time we were over, and I think he did. This is more of the emergency spot, but he spilled something and was like, "Hey, Dan, you got a pair of sweatpants?" I was like, "Yeah, no problem."
Very different.
Yeah, I agree.
Very
I do think that's different. Also, it's your father-in-law, so you're like, yeah.
Yes. Very different.
But I
think in general, men don't share clothes.
I don't know if I agree with that.
I think it's men of a certain age.
In college, it was everything.
First of all, there's a lot of things
that you share in college. I'm aware of that. I'm aware of that. Okay, going on. But like, I don't think I'd ever let somebody borrow my shoes. That's more of my thing. I don't want your feet, but like, I don't care about sweatpants, shorts, shirts, jerseys, like whatever. I even think about like when we play like pickup hockey or pickup baseball. It's like, hey, you need a extra pair of pants. Oh, I didn't have them. Like, I got you. I've shared equipment. Like, hey, you don't have an extra pair of gloves. Okay, here it is. Like, I don't know.
I don't think it's weird either.
I don't think it's weird. Again, level of friend.
Right.
Level of friend is very important.
Casually to ask.
Wife's friend's boyfriend or husband comes over and asks. Like, Renee has a friend over and she's bringing her boyfriend and he's like, hey, man, do you got an extra pair? Like, no, everything's fresh out.
Why would you say that?
Because I don't know the dude.
So why do you have to know him?
It's a knowing thing.
Yeah, it's a knowing.
Okay,
knowing
so
thing.
if one of your girlfriends says, "Oh, my cousin's in town, can I borrow a dress?"
Not because you don't know who that cousin is.
You would let them do it.
I would absolutely.
Well, she's
let
a
them.
chooch.
Well, no, I would just Oh, if they're like, it's so. I feel like with women though, it's like, oh, I really like your dress.
Oh, so they do that fake compliment, or they compliment?
No, it's not fake. A lot of times, be like, oh, and I'd be like, oh, do you want to borrow it? I don't know. I don't think that's weird. That's not weird to me.
No, for
I think
women,
what's
it's a natural
weird
thing.
is if it's like you are an adult, you're going over to someone's house, you knew you were going over there, like you should have had the foresight to be like, I'm gonna be uncomfortable, I should just bring a pair of shorts or bring that's I don't think if I was like that, if I was at my good friend's house, I would just be like,
so what do you do when
I made a decision to not pack anything, so I'm not going to ask my friends.
So the guy Bill was in a spot. He can't say no.
Can't
Correct.
say no.
Yeah, fresh out.
Everything's in the laundry. No, 100%. But I know, like I was just thinking about it. I know I still have a pair of shorts, a workout shirt, like a gym shirt, and a hoodie from like Steve.
Yeah.
Like when it's funny now when I put it on to like walk around the house or whatever, I'll send him a picture like Manhasset baseball. It's like his high school baseball team that like I'm sure one time it was just like, hey, I need a shirt.
Yeah.
I put it on and
right. But it stems back from like college days.
It does stem back to college days.
Yes.
I just don't think I would ever, if I was
ask.
I don't think I would ever ask.
Yeah.
Yeah. That says more about the person asking than would you do it? Because I think we're all nice people here. And to avoid the awkwardness of
so now we've had this awkward moment. He's had to say yes. It's an older pair of sweatpants. The guy wears them. Your other buddy drops them back off. What do you do with the sweatpants?
Chuck them.
They're gone, right?
They're gone.
I would at least wash them.
Yeah. Again, because even if he
said he did. I'd
yeah,
be like,
I would never be that casual to ask somebody unless it was like an emergency.
I think that is the most surprising thing of the story is just being like, hey, I didn't plan ahead. And if it's an emergency situation, spills, whatever, that's totally different.
By the way, because I remember him telling me the story when he told it initially to me was like the whole time he's sitting there and he kept looking over at his sweatpants.
That is really funny.
It bugged him the whole day because it just was weird. It was kind of a weird, but sometimes people are very casual about what they'll ask.
Oh yeah. And you can tell they're not super close friends because if you were uncomfortable with it and your super close friend asked you, you'd be like, you would razz them.
Yeah, you give
be
them
like,
a hard
ew,
time.
no.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
Exactly.
You'd be like,
you'd bust their chops and then you'd go and get it.
Yeah. But you'd be like, I want you to know you're a weirdo.
Yes.
like you'd
100%.
be.
Yeah. But yeah, I just don't think it's that weird.
I think it's the level of.
By the way, Dad, can I add at the time these guys were in their 40s?
I think it's a weird ask. I just think
But you got to give it.
Oh, agreed.
Well, you're stuck.
Agreed. Yeah. But
unless you just say no.
And the guy just sits there the rest of the time, just like, screw this guy. This guy sucks.
I do think it's pretty forward to ask.
Yes.
I would say.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Anything else?
No.
It is wild though. Like when you were talking to me about this, I'm like, women, we share everything. Like it's
really
not
is,
makeup, yeah, go for it. You want it? Sure. One of my girlfriends, Mal, who was in my wedding, we share dresses all the time. Hey, I wore this to a wedding.
Yeah,
you can
Renee
use
and Carly share everything.
Yeah. Well, they're twins.
Yes.
So that also.
That's right.
Also, our kids share everything now.
Yeah, but
you have daughters.
The kids.
My sister. Oh, I used to fight.
Is that's me again. I get fined for that.
Yeah, that's twice.
That's twice.
Yeah.
Are you good?
Yeah,
Phone
but that was
ringing
work
again?
related, but we'll let that one go by.
Was it really?
Yeah, nothing big.
Okay. All right.
Bean calling?
I can help you with that.
All right. Thank you for joining us. Please be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and share. Also, send in your questions. buffaloplus@gmail.com.
And I want to know what people think. I really do want to know.
Comments,
I want to know what people think. Maybe
Is
it's maybe it's a little generational.
Yeah.
You guys, you and all your clothes sharing.
We're just kind, friendly people.
Yes.
There's that. All right. Send us in your comments. We would love to hear your thoughts on sharing clothing. Also, any thoughts about the Bills defense or the cap situation.
Plus, we want life. We give pretty good life advice. We're not on lockstep on everything here.
Yeah, I agree. Makes it interesting. All right, for Mike.
So can I borrow a pair of pants?
Nope.
For Mike and Dan, I'm Jenna. We'll catch you next time here on the Buffalo Plus channel.
Buffalo Plus.